PlayStation Store just kicked off the Indie Game Sale, which lasts until September 2nd and features 20 PlayStation VR games. So let's take a quick look at all of them and see which ones are worth picking up. The thanks as always goes to DuranFan for putting these lists together. It sounds ridiculous to quibble over $5, but when 1976 launched on PSVR, it kind of felt like a $15 game. So this deal is pretty much perfect. Back to Midway pays homage to shoot-em-ups of our youth, adding some cool VR elements, and even though the game itself doesn't last too long, the Platinum Trophy is fun to go for. Ace Combat 7 remains one of the most visually impressive, most immersive games on PSVR. As we've said 1,000 times before, there's only 3 VR compatible missions, but luckily, they're endlessly replayable. Well, endlessly until you unlock everything anyway. We do wish the full game was playable in VR, but for $15, this is an awesome deal. Albo just got a huge update, adding new maps, a progression system, some updated controls, and more. And while we do wish Albo launched at $20, we're really happy that the content is finally rolling in and starting to justify the price point. It's kind of a shame that Arc Park isn't much fun because there's a lot to do here. Dinosaur rides, exploration, egg hatching, wave shooting, crafting, but sadly it never comes together and ends up being tedious and boring. You'd be surprised, but this side-scrolling beat-em-up actually plays really well on PlayStation VR. The perspective looks great, online multiplayer is fun, and the price point here is ridiculous. If you're looking for something absolutely beautiful to look at in your PSVR headset, Bound will entrance you with stunning worlds and environments that seem to be made up of breathing cardboard boxes. But if you want a good game, Bound doesn't quite deliver where it counts. The platforming kinda sucks, and the story has sadly been done time and time again. The ability to make your own PS4 games is one thing, but being able to actually make PSVR games is just totally mind-blowing. The tools here basically allow you to make anything you can think of, and even if you're not creative, there are more than enough user-generated creations here for you to check out and justify the $10 purchase. It looks blurry on the PS4, way better on the Pro, but on the PlayStation 5, Dreams is one of the best reasons to own a PSVR headset. Okay, I know. Five Nights at Freddy's is essentially just a collection of minigames, but let me tell you that this Help Wanted bundle is absolutely terrifying. It includes a ton of familiar FNAF locations, characters, games, and includes the Curse of the Dreadbear DLC, adding even more value. On the surface, Heavy Fire Red Shadow looks like a fun little wave shooter with some destructible environments and non-stop enemies. But within about 5 minutes, everything starts feeling repetitive, and that feeling never wavers for the rest of the game, which can be beaten in about 90 minutes. It doesn't matter how cheap this one is, it's boring. The first of 3 Jeff Minter releases discounted in the sale, Minotaur Arcade features shooter Grid Runner and platformer Goat Up. Grid Runner is the more addictive of the two, but Goat Up has its own charm too. If you're a retro gamer, there's a lot to like here, but if you never experienced this era of gaming back in the day, there might not be too much here for you. Moose Life is the strangest of the Jeff Minter trilogy. It's an intense shooter where you play as a moose that can defy gravity. It's short, but really fun. Marking the first time it's ever been on sale on the PlayStation Store, Polybius is definitely the best Minter game on the list. It's a retro-styled shoot-em-up that moves faster and faster, throwing non-stop particle effects and flashing lights at your face until you're practically in a trance. Polybius delivers an absolutely insane experience in the headset. If you like retro shooters or psychedelic experiences, Polybius is a must-have game. Only part of the Prey Digital Deluxe Edition has VR support, and most of it's an escape room game. It's not a bad bonus if you already bought Prey for the flat screen campaign, but I certainly wouldn't spend $12 on it. I've got a thing for endless runners, and we definitely don't have enough of them in VR. Race This On isn't bad for $3, and you'll get your money's worth, but there are better endless runners in Dreams, so if that's an option, go pick that up instead. While it's true we're always desperate for more racing games, we do have to draw the line somewhere, and Space Ribbon is where we draw the line. The tracks are randomly generated, the gameplay isn't any fun, it doesn't look very good, and there's no first-person mode. Sure, it's cheap, but save your money for something better. Trackmania Turbo has been oddly divisive, but I guess that's not a total surprise. There's a bunch of tracks and challenges in the PSVR version, but it's not the full game. Plus, you have no control over when the game switches you from third person to first person. And it's the kind of game that real thrill seekers would rather have in first person the entire time. It's not bad for the price though. As charm games follow up to form, Twilight Path's attempt to tap into our nostalgia for the never-ending story in Spirited Away was certainly a step in the right direction. but Twilight Path never seems to form an identity of its own, and with a super short runtime and an unsatisfying story, it's ultimately pretty forgettable. I'm a huge fan of roguelites, but Shell Games' sword-fighting roguelite Until You Fall exceeded all expectations. The synthwave music and neon graphics set the stage, but the practically rhythm-based enemy encounters helped deliver one of the best PSVR games ever made. For $16, this should be in every PlayStation VR collection, if you're up to the challenge. Okay, so here's my experience with Wild Turkey Hunter. I played it for an hour, wandered around the woods with no direction whatsoever, found 2 turkeys, tried to shoot them both, and failed. And that's when I turned the game off out of boredom. If there's an actual game here, let me apologize to the developers, because I was so unimpressed with my first hour that I'll never get around to seeing it. The Wipeout Omega Collection is actually a remaster of Wipeout HD, along with its Fury expansion, and Wipeout 2048, essentially giving us 3 complete Wipeout games in one, compiled into one of the best looking and best playing PlayStation VR games out there. There's a ton of detail in every track, your ships move blisteringly fast, and each game includes multiple race modes and online multiplayer. It's simply one of the best PSVR games out there.